We're back with another episode of Franchise My Business, the podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and I am always excited about our guests. But this is going to be a really, really fun episode because I love businesses that help kids. I love businesses that just help people like overcome adversity in life and things that maybe weren't chosen selections. I'm guessing no family would probably say, hey, you know what? I'd love to have a child who has autism, right? But we get what we get in life. And then sometimes that calls people to action. And so I have an action taker on today's episode. We're going to talk to the founder of Success on the Spectrum. This is an organization that was founded in 2015 by Nichole Daher, and she is an autism mom who envisioned unique AB centers that can maximize the potential for the progress of her daughter. What a cool, noble thing. She's created a perfect combination of the most effective methods of science, a fun environment for the kiddos, community outing, safety, and high parent involvement. As a parent of a child who's just recently been diagnosed with dyslexia, I'm going to tell you, high parent involvement is not only necessary, it's required, but it's great when you find a system that really brings the parent into it. After the original two centers boasted success and profit, Nichole's founded SOS Franchising, the only center-based franchise in the U.S. in order to share her mission with other passionate business owners. Nichole, welcome to today's show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
It's an honor to have you. The best businesses are the result of an entrepreneur solving their own problems, that's why I'm here. That's obviously why you're here. But rarely do we get to do it in honor and in support of our children, our legacy, like them being a powerful why as to why mom decided to go on this journey. And so I'm excited to learn more about the journey.
Yes.
Back to the beginning, like at what age was your daughter? What age did you determine that she was on the spectrum?
Well, she was diagnosed very young. She was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And, the doctors told us that she would need ABA therapy. And we looked and looked and looked. A lot of waiting lists, a lot of doctor's visits, a lot of looking around. And we did find a place for her. And it was a good place, don't get me wrong, but the parent involvement piece was missing. And it was difficult because she couldn't speak. So I dropped my kid off every day at this place and I pick her up at the end of the day and I can't ask her, what did you do at school today? What did you do for lunch? She couldn't answer me that. And they don't let you in. They say it's a private facility for the safety of the children. They don't let anybody in. So you have no idea what's going on with your own kid inside of a school. And so when she was a bit older, and this happens with a lot of centers, a lot of ABA centers only accept kids until they're 5 years old and then they want them out.
Really?
The idea is that once a child reaches a certain age is to transition them into the school system. And that reduces their number of hours. And a lot of ABA places are in it only for the money and they only want the full-time kids and they don't want the trouble of the older kids. And so they kick them out. And that's what happened. And so I was at another position where we had to find a place for her to go. And it was waitlist. And she's too old and all of these things. And you're right. It was a problem that I had to solve. So I opened my own just for her, unexpectedly blew up and exploded out of control, ended up quitting my job and creating this beast of a company that is really just taking a life of its own. I am not the only mom out there looking for this service. There are hundreds and thousands of people that can't find help for their kids, and there needs to be more providers. And that was the inspiration behind franchising. I couldn't just do it for me. We need more everywhere. So here we are.
Yeah. What a noble journey. I mean, I actually just got some chills because sure, like brake repair and sandwiches, like these are all awesome. And these are entrepreneurs I talk to, right? And some of them are needs, some of them are wants that they provide. Like we all, like my business, we sell smoothies. That's a want, not a need. Yeah. Nobody's going to die if we shut down. Their quality of life isn't going to change, but you and your franchisees and the employees that work there are doing You're doing noble work, like the work that's, I'm guessing that there's hard days just like every entrepreneur, and a powerful why helps us power through that, and I can't imagine, helping kids being a more powerful why. So
You said it.
So yeah. It's a heck yes.
This industry really is, I like to call it profit with a purpose, because even on the bad days when you think, oh, payroll is going to be so much, and I'm going through the trouble of hiring more people and dealing with staff and dealing with landlords and all of these things. And then you get a note from a parent that says, wow, they told me that my kid would never talk, and now you've given me my child's life back. And it just makes...
I heard I love you from my child for the first time.
Yes.
Like, I can't imagine what that would be like.
We've all cried. Like, there's so many tears in our lobby. You would not imagine.
Yeah. Giving children put them on a level where they can be at par with their peers and excel and use a disability that they were born with as a source of strength, because we know if you're lacking in one area, you got some deficiencies over here, you are superpowers in other areas.
Exactly.
And that's also what's so cool about, kiddos that are on the spectrum, is they have so many super, super cool things about them, and you're helping them realize those things and be accepted in the world and all those things. It's so beautiful. It really is a beautiful business model. I want to go back to the moment where you decided, hey, like, this thing's bigger than what we can do in our market. We see a need, and we're going to take our intellectual property and our brand, and we're going to put it in a box, and we're going to offer it to other entrepreneurs. And what year did you guys start doing that SOS franchising?
So the idea was born in 2019, but we didn't put into action until 2019. We sold 2 franchises, get this, in December of 2019.
Good timing, right?
2020 happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it scared me. It scared me a lot as a franchisor. I thought to myself, what did I just do? Did I just sign these 2 people up to their financial ruin? Is this going to be, the end of the entire company? And much to my surprise, and like you said earlier, the smoothie business, pizza business, whatever, breaks. When the economy goes down, when everything shuts down, those are the, expendable income is the first thing to go, right? It's the first thing to be cut. Mm-hmm. But because we're an essentially medical service, we were able to stay open the whole time. And the crazy thing is, because all of the schools were shut down, because all of the daycares were shut down, we did even better during COVID than we did otherwise. And parents were begging us to watch neurotypical brother and sister so that they could go to work, so they could drop the kids off at one place. And we made it. And it was really, it says like, wow, not only does the model work, it works well. It can survive the unexpected. And it was such a blessing to see. So we didn't sell any franchises in the entire 2020, just in case. We were watching. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
And so everything that we have was sold basically in 2021, and this past year, 2022. We now have 24 open and running locations and several more in the pipeline and development. And we've proven to ourselves that it's a system that works and can withstand economic stress.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. And as I mentioned before recording, like, I've had exposure to your business because you have a location in my community here in Lee Summit, Missouri. And we have some dear friends that collaborate with them. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, cause you're in my local community as well. Like, it just brings it closer to home. I feel super blessed that out of those 24 locations, we have one here in Lee Summit serving the kiddos. The timing was interesting too. I'm super thankful that everything worked out for the positive for you. Holy smokes. So let's talk about what happens in a SOS center. You mentioned that, parents were dropping their kids off. What does your kind of programming look like for a kiddo? Is it a temporary thing? Is it a membership model you're operating off of? Like, how does it work for somebody who wants to be a customer at one of your locations?
Yes. So typically, if a child is diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, autism, sensory overload, whatever, the school is obligated to accommodate that disability.
Yep.
Because in a typical classroom, there's lots of distractions. The kids are expected to sit in a desk for 8 hours a day, which is impossible for some of these kids to do, impossible for some adults to do. And they have all these kids and noises and movements surrounding them, and they cannot concentrate and they cannot learn in that environment. So the school will take them out and put them in a special needs classroom. But even a special needs classroom is very distracting. There are older kids put in with younger kids. There are more teachers and more aides, but the same number of kids in the room, the same expectation to sit down in a desk. Sometimes it's still not good enough. And that's where we come in. Our facilities are specially designed for kids with learning disabilities. And so each kid gets their own little private room, no windows, no bright colors on the walls, no posters, dim lighting, and they get their own teacher at all times. So it's one-on-one all the time. Now, they're not expected to stay in their room and sit in a desk all day. Yeah. They have that room available to them when they need that distraction-free environment. But outside of those little tiny individual rooms, we have the art classroom and the circle time room and the playground for recess and the mock classroom for group activities. Yeah. But if at any time they feel overwhelmed, they have that escape to go to calm themselves. And we do teach those self-calming skills, coping skills. And once we feel like they are progressing and they're slowly accommodating or reducing the accommodations and slowly acclimating to distractions, and they're spending more time in the group areas and less time in their individual rooms, that's when we transition them back into the school system because they've learned those coping skills and they're able to tolerate it. And so instead of paying private tuition to us, your health insurance actually pays for all of this treatment.
Wow. Was the great business model for you as a franchisor too, right? Well,
it
makes it easier for a customer to say yes to you.
Yes.
Right?
I can treat rich people and poor people. They can have Medicaid or PPO, platinum, private insurance plan, and it's the same to us.
That's super cool from a revenue and a business model perspective.
You're so right. Yeah. And it allows equal access. I mean, it really helps any kind of kid get the treatment that they need. The only problem is that there's not enough of us. So if you look at all the kids with autism or sensory issues or ADHD or ADD that could benefit from this treatment, we only meet 30% of the demand that's out there. And when I say we, I don't mean SOS, my brand. I mean all brands collectively only meet 30% of the demand. So there's so many kids out there that don't have access because there's not enough facilities that exist, which is where the franchise model, again, is coming in to save the day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's actually, it's sad that we only have basically capacity to, help a third of the kiddos.
Right.
But it's also cool because we've got some solutions. We may not fix that right away with SOS, but you can chip away at that.
That's my plan. That is the goal, to provide more access to care to both schools and to privates. We can accept kids starting at 2 years old. So even before they're in school, before they get all those services and decide that it doesn't work, we can treat them before that. And the school systems are struggling to keep up. There's not enough teachers. There's shortages. There's not enough aides. And even if they do have enough teachers, they don't have the specialty training for the special needs kids.
Right.
So there's still deficiencies within the school system that we can help.
Yeah. Yeah. You're filling the gaps. Filling the gaps. Well, let's talk about your franchisees. I would assume, I could be incorrect, but that many of your franchisees maybe have dealt with, or maybe they have children who have autism. Is that kind of a common thing that you found, that people that want to stand up one of these and serve their community, that they have some sort of personal tie to it?
It is very common. I think all but a handful of our franchisees are actually autism parents.
Okay.
And one, I love it because they can relate to the clients that are coming in.
Yes.
They're coming in. But it also helps because they know the struggle. People who don't know about the autism industry aren't going to go looking for a business like that. But the people who are in it and they know the struggle of trying to find a place, they know the amount of demand greatly outpaces the supply. They're the ones that see the business potential because they're living in it. They see the lack of supply. And so these people are the first ones to say, hey, I've been on a wait list for 1 year in my city. I should just open my own, and all these other kids that are on the waiting list, I'll instantly have clients. And that's exactly how it works.
That's really cool. It really is. I mean, it's like, hey, you've got built-in demand.
Yeah.
In whatever market you go to, if you're only serving a third of the market, you're going to have built-in demand. Part of what I believe is a good, like, I'm primarily a marketer, and I believe in the power of stories as a way to connect with others and get them to know, like, and trust you. And then ultimately, if it's right for them, they'll purchase from you. What a better empathetic guide than a parent of a child who has autism to be operating one of these locations, because you hit the nail on the head. Like, if you haven't walked in this, like, I wouldn't know what it's like. I have a dyslexic child. They have their own different set of challenges, but being nonverbal, for example, is not one of them. Like, we just have a hard time reading. We can still communicate and do all those things. This is a much more, depending on where a child is, a much more, I would say, debilitating scenario. And therefore, the empathy of the business owner, I think, makes it so that how could you not be the partner of choice in the local market? Even if there are competing solutions and there's availability, it's like, well, here's the right place for us and our kiddo.
That's one thing that I've had to learn as a baby franchisor is I need to be picky. This industry can be taken advantage of, and you can get rich quick on this. I mean, this is insurance money. You don't feel bad about taking it. You're not chasing anybody for it. If you pile on 40 kids on one provider, and there's no government regulations, by the way, in this industry, it's actually scary.
Oh, there isn't?
No.
Nothing.
So you could pile on 100 kids onto one provider and make $10,000 a month per kid and get rich quick. But the quality of services that you're giving to these kids is not good if you're spreading your one provider out that thin. So as a franchisor, we limit how many kids, how much caseload can be on one provider simply to keep the quality up. I think we're the only ABA business out there that really does that. And it increases the quality. So for me, being picky on who I let into the system is important. The autism parents get it. They know that the number one mission is to take care of the kids, and then the money will come. But I get a lot of people from private equity groups and all these oil sheiks from around the world who have cash to throw around that want it as passive income. That's not the kind of person we want. We want owner operators. We want people who are going to be in the business, shaking hands, crying with them, laughing with them, celebrating with them, so that you form those personal connections and you retain your staff better and you retain your clients better, and you make a difference in the kids' lives instead of pushing them through and kicking them out when they're 5.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
That is what it's about. And I could see, it's just like, think about a friend who was raising some money, and they were going around and buying veterinary clinics because they cash flow great. Sure, maybe some of them like animals, some of them don't, but really it was a pure money play. It's like, hey, there's a gap here. We could go raise some money, roll up these, veterinary clinics, rebrand them, and exit at one point in time. And that feels a little bit weird doing that with kids with autism. I gotta tell you,
you've got to have the passion.
Pets, I get it, right? Pets, I get it, but when you're dealing with kids and their long-term success as a human being, I'm like, you're right. It's like, if you do great work and you provide the results and you've got empathy and all those things, like, the cash will totally follow. Like, it will probably more than you could ever imagine. But I love the fact that you're being super selective around that. And I think as one of the things I've seen, because I've been the CMO of a franchise where we had 600 locations, is that as you grow, sometimes the filter goes down.
Yeah.
And I know you, just our short time knowing each other, you're not going to adjust that filter. But that, I think, is probably one of the most defining characteristics of your future success will be maintaining that filter, even as you get bigger, because there will be, your initial franchise fee will probably go up as you get bigger. Like a lot of things, our problems just get magnified and the stakes get higher as a franchise system grows.
Yes.
So just keep that, because I think that is part of your secret sauce as a franchisor, is the screening and making sure that it's a heck yes on every single franchisee. No, you can't be 100% perfect all the time on screening, but intuition really helps, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. What do you think your business looks like in 5 years? Like, I know you've got to have a dream, and you got lofty goals, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've grown quite a bit in a short amount of time, and I want to continue that growth. I want to provide access to more cities. We're focusing on clustering. So we have a ton in Houston, and a ton in Dallas, and a ton in Atlanta, and a ton in New Jersey. So we just want to build up our clusters and tackle one city at a time, expand to new cities. A lot of people ask me what my exit strategy is. That's one of the biggest questions we get from franchisees is you're the secret sauce. So what happens if you sell the franchise? And that is another thing I think that makes us different, is that I'm not going to. Eventually I'll want to exit. I mean, I'm pretty young. Let me just say, I'm like very, very young. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I will stay with the franchise for a very long time, but I will never sell out to private equity. And I see a lot of models change when someone comes in and buys things. I would like to have my franchisees, existing people who are in it, who are doing it, who are in the clinics, they know what they need. I want them making the decisions when I'm ready to leave, which will be a long time from now. But I think selling shares to the people who are in it and not outsourcing it to some big money hungry company is really going to keep our business alive and with the right mission for a long time.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. When you can make your franchisees shareholders and whatnot, whatever way you go about doing that, right? Like, can you imagine? And I don't know of a single company that's done this, but there's a ton of businesses that are employee owned.
Yeah.
And sometimes they say that, but it's like, hey, they have an ESOP or whatever, but it's just a fraction owned, and it's just to be able to say it there. But then there's other companies that are just flat out like majority owned by the team. And I don't know that I've seen a franchise system that's done that.
We're going for it. We're making it up as we go, but we're going for it.
Yeah. Like that would be, you talk about building like a ridiculous culture. And I think that's one of the hard things too, is scaling culture across multiple locations when you don't see each other every day and things like that. So let's talk about that. How do you guys operate? I found that there's usually two systems. There's either, hey, we're a closed off wall, meaning our franchisees don't have a way that's provided by the franchisor as a way to collaborate, or are you super collaborative with the franchisees, or collaborative with each other? Like, how do they?
Super on both levels. So in the medical industry, you have to have a credentialed provider. And when you're a new franchise and you only have one provider, what happens when that provider quits and leaves? Then you have a gap where you have nobody licensed working for you and you have to find someone else. And so our sister locations collaborate and cross-credential with each other, and they cover each other in times of need.
Cool.
But the franchisor company is very hands-on. So we have individual meetings with each key employee at each franchise location every month. And then we have one group meeting between each key employee title each month. So all the CEOs meet together and we laugh together and we cry together and we learn hard lessons. And that collaboration creates that family feel where you're not alone, you're not isolated. You can ask, we can bounce ideas off of each other. And of course, once a year, because we are a nautically themed company, we all meet somewhere tropical. And we do training and leadership skills with our CEOs. This year, we're taking a cruise. We're going to be out at sea. And we always film video of the CEOs all hanging out together. And we do a year-end video every year that everybody plays at their company Christmas parties. that shows faces from each location to, again, establish that entire culture, not just one location versus one location, but we're all under the same ship, pun intended.
Yeah. No, that's super, super cool. And it sounds like you are not having challenges scaling culture.
No.
And I think the number one thing that I've seen is the people that do have a hard time doing that they kind of want to do this us versus them type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, franchisor versus the franchisees. And I'm like, man, what a weird confrontational way to think about building a system. It's like, man, some of the best ideas are going to come from your franchisees, and them collaborating together typically gets you feedback that's either constructive, help improve the company. I mean, everybody's rowing in the same direction if we're going to keep up nautical references here. So collaborate, like, let's get the best ideas together from everybody. And the fact that you guys have a one-on-one with a key employee at every location every single month is, I'll just say it, it's dope. It's awesome. Like, it is really cool. It's really cool. So
yes, we like to keep in close touch.
Yeah. What if there were one piece of advice? So we've got emerging franchisors or somebody who's just thinking about it. I always like to say, hey, the baker across the street, Cookie Jar Bakery, Lisa's listening, and she's thinking, hey, I want to package up Cookie Jar and take it elsewhere, but I don't know what I don't know. A lot of the lessons learned come from our mistakes, people ahead.
Right.
Like, what do you think is the biggest piece of advice you give that baker or whoever who's thinking about expanding via franchising and they just haven't taken the leap? It could be something you've got a wound from. It could be a win. It could be aspirational. But what do you got?
I think the two most important pieces of advice is, one, your model has to be replicable in different environments. So we started out here in Texas, where school systems are not friendly to us, but private insurance is. And then we started opening in New Jersey, where the opposite is true, where there's not a lot of private insurance, but there are a lot of school contracts that we can obtain. And so it needs to work in not just your local area. It's got to work everywhere, and it's got to be replicable and you have to assure that profitability is obtainable in different areas of the country, because expenses are going to be different and rent is going to be different and traffic is going to be different. So it has to be replicable. And then secondly, again, be picky with who you let in. I know in the beginning, I was eager to get started. You don't make money your first 2 years of business in anything. So the franchising company is no different. You're building a support team and you're making up things as you go and you're changing things and trying to refine things. And then you get your troublemakers that want to buy into the franchise, get trained, and then go and do their own thing. And they go off the rails.
Right.
So the pickier you are with the people that you allow in, the less trouble you'll have later, the more success you'll have later, the better the reputation of the company will be, because one person can make a wave for the rest of you. And you got to learn to avoid that. Be picky.
Yeah, be picky. That's great
counsel.
A
lot of people know. We tell a lot of people no.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, it's operating with integrity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, you could say yes and take the fee and all these things, but is it best for the community it's going to? Is it best for the kids? Is it best for your existing franchisees? I mean, that's like the first question we would always ask at our last company. Is this good for our existing franchisees? Whether it was, I don't care what decision it was, that was our first question. Exactly. And if it was like, no, then you'd be like, all right, easy decision.
You got to know the why.
Would they be super excited about this person joining, or would they be super excited about this decision? If it's a no, then it's like, all right, it's no, because that's who we come in and serve every single day. Like that's who we show up for.
That is who we show up for. I can teach people all day long how to do payroll and how to get money from clients, but I can't teach passion. I can't give them the desire to wake up and do this job. And if they don't care about the company and how good of a job they're doing, then it'll fall apart.
Yeah.
You got to have that leadership skill. You got to have the best reason why you're doing it, to keep going even when things get hard, to not give up. And that's it's what makes a company, really, is the leadership, the CEO within it, the why they're doing this, not to make a quick buck and leave it standing on its own in the middle of the ocean by itself.
Yeah.
You got to have a fleet and you got to work together and you got to captain your ship. And this is what keeps the business at the quality level that it is.
Well, I have no doubt that Success on the Spectrum and SOS Franchising have a phenomenal captain at the helm with you.
Thank you.
I think the organization's very lucky that you founded it, because I can tell. I can just tell. Like, this is a personal mission that you've turned into a business, and the money's going to come, and you guys are going to do amazing things. But at the end of the day, you're helping kids live their best lives possible. And if we don't have the kids and putting them in a great position, we're messed up as a society. I mean, it's like where it starts. I mean, you're like, boom. So
that's what I'm saying.
Super honored to know.
Even if I don't make the money, I'm still earning the karma. So there's at least something,
That's right. That's right. The karma points are adding up. You're a breath of fresh air, and I deeply appreciate you visiting with us today. If people wanted to learn more about you, connect with you or your business, like, where's the best way for them to go get some more information?
As always, online is the best source of information. So you can visit us at sosfranchising.com. We also have a YouTube channel with videos. And, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth 1,000,000. We have videos, franchisee testimonials, parent testimonials, employee testimonials, and learning about what we do, seeing what we do, and seeing how we make a difference in the world and how much we all love and enjoy what we do. That can all be found on both the website and on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. This is Kevin Oldham, and I am floored to have had this opportunity to visit with Nichole today. If you've got a friend who has an autistic kiddo, or, you're looking at a business opportunity that helps people, please do me a favor and just go ahead and text this episode to one person right now. And then the final ask I have, and then I'll get out of your hair, but I say it every single show because it's my show and I get to say it. If you like what we're doing at Franchise My Business, your interaction keeps us going through this mission, and it allows us to continue to have conversations like we're having with Nichole. So smash that subscribe button. It's just super simple. Smash it. Boom, boom, boom. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Oldham. It's been awesome. Be well, and let's pray for Nichole and her team to continue doing amazing work.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everybody.